Do you wake up tired even after 7 or 8 hours of sleep? Even after long hours of resting? You drink coffee, you push through the day, but by afternoon, your energy crashes again. This isn't laziness. In fact, it's not just stress. Well, today in this video, we're going to break down the real biological reasons why so many people feel tired all the time, using science and physiology, and what you can realistically do about it. Well, welcome to Vital Healthy Science. My name is Rutemi Robert. So, in this channel, we break down complex healthy sciences into simpler, practical knowledge. Well, let's go straight to the number one cause of fatigue and general body weakness, or why people always feel tired even after long hours of sleep, after even long hours of resting. Well, the number one cause of fatigue and unstable energy in the body is the blood sugar instability. I will call it instability. Well, let's say someone in the United States grabs a breakfast of sugarless cereal, white toast with jam, and sweetened coffee. Or someone in Europe starts the day with a croissant and a cappuccino. These foods are high in refined carbohydrates, and we are going to find out what the refined carbohydrates do in the body. The refined carbohydrates will cause what we call spiking in the sugar levels in the blood, and when you eat them, your blood glucose rises quickly. Your pancreas releases insulin to lower the glucose in this blood in the bloodstream. But when insulin lowers blood sugar too fast, it causes a crash, known as reactive hypoglycemia. And what does this feel like? Sleepiness, brain fog, irritability, cravings, and to mention but a few. I remember when we were in high school after lunch, after taking a plate of portion beans, all we felt like all dozing, sleeping, tired. Oh, I wish I knew then. So biologically, your cells depend on glucose for ATP production, and this is the molecule that powers cellular energy. When glucose spikes and crashes, ATP production becomes unstable. So instead of steady energy, you get a roller coaster. So what do I advise? This is what I advise. So if your breakfast is oatmeal with nuts and seeds, eggs with vegetables, Greek yogurt with berries, you release glucose slowly, insulin remains stable, energy remains consistent. Wow. Well, let's look at cause number two. Cause number two is the mitochondria inefficiency. The mitochondria is your cellular power plant. So inside every cell are the tiny structures called the mitochondria. So what do? They convert nutrients into ATP. ATP is your body's true energy currency. So after consuming food, your breakfast, your dinner, your lunch, and the sugars are extracted from the food you've eaten into the bloodstream. They are absorbed into the cells, and inside the cells are the mitochondria. This is where conversion happens, the sugars into your ATP. So poor nutrition, chronic stress, lack of sleep, and inactivity can reduce mitochondrial efficiency. When mitochondria don't function properly, muscles feel weak, brain functions slow, you feel constantly drained. This is why regular physical activity actually increases energy. Exercise stimulates mitochondrial biogenesis, meaning your body increases the rate at which more mitochondria are created. Low movement reduces oxygen delivery and mitochondrial stimulation. And this is why inactive office workers, women and men in the many Western countries often feel very weak because they sit 8 to 10 hours daily. Their body is inactive, and yet we've seen that inactivity of the body reduces oxygen delivery and mitochondrial stimulation. And the result will always be chronic fatigue despite physical exertion. And now let's look at cause number 3. This is very important to know because it's one of the leading cause of fatigue among people living in the US and the whole of Europe. This is about sleep. So sleep quality and circadian rhythm. Sleep is not just about hours, it's about cycles because your body follows a circadian rhythm, a 24-hour internal clock regulated by the brain's suprachiasmatic nucleus. So what happens? Exposure to artificial light at night, especially that from phones, TVs, laptops, tablets, this suppresses an important hormone. It suppresses its production. It suppresses production of melatonin. Melatonin is the hormone that signals sleep. So if you spend more hours scrolling down on social media, you spend 30 to 1 hour scrolling down. So that artificial light, it's going to block or it's going to disrupt the production of the melatonin hormone that relaxes the brain to bring about sleep. And in many American and European households, screen exposure continues late into the night, which is very dangerous. And this will reduce sleep depth significantly. And over time, sleep debt accumulates. So whenever you don't have enough sleep, what happens? This will happen the next day. The adenosine molecule. There is a compound, adenosine molecule. This is going to form in the brain. It builds up in the brain, making you feel tired the whole day because it's a fatigue-inducing molecule. So back to the screen time. You have to reduce it to prevent suppression or production of the melatonin hormone, because once you have less melatonin production, you're going to have disrupted sleep and poor deep sleep cycles. Even if you sleep 8 hours, you may not enter sufficient restorative stages. So my advice, reduce screen time. At least 2, 5, 10 minutes and sleep. And now, this is number 4. Number 4 is one of the leading causes of fatigue among people, regardless of the time they spend resting and regardless of the 8 to 7 hours they spend sleeping in their beds. So if you're stressed, maybe due to work pressure, financial concerns, or constant news consumption, your adrenal glands will release a stress hormone, cortisol, very dangerous. The short-term production of cortisol, it's okay. But because stress is not short-term for some people, that means there will be a chronic elevation of the stress hormone or cortisol in the body. And of course, this leads to poor sleep, insulin resistance, and increased inflammations in the body. Sometimes even mental fatigue. In high-paced societies like US, UK, German, and Canada, constant productivity pressure keeps cortisol elevated. Everyday people have work pressure. And over time, this dysregulates the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, also known or also called the HPA axis. And when that system becomes imbalanced, energy regulation suffers, and this will keep you fatigued, weak, tired the whole day. Well, now let's look at reason number 5. Number 5 on our list, and of course, this is another undiscovered reason why people always feel fatigued, tired all the time, even when they spend 7 to 8 hours of sleep. They wake up tired. This is dehydration. Dehydration is simply having less fluids in the body. In simple terms, I would say having less water but less fluids. And of course, this is going to come with so many related healthy issues. Number 1, it's going to reduce oxygen delivery in the body, because even mild dehydration reduces blood volume. And what happens when your blood volume reduces? That means less oxygen delivered to tissues. And once less oxygen is delivered to tissues, that also means there is less ATP production. And as earlier we saw, ATP is the currents by which energy is transported around the body. ATP is energy that must be supplied to your tissues, to your muscles, for you to feel strong, for you to feel energetic. And of course, studies show that 1 to 2% dehydration can even impair cognitive performance. Coffee and alcohol, of course, which is a common combination men enjoy around here. This combination increases fluid loss. Many people drink coffee all day, but very little water. At the end of the day, you lose a lot of fluids from the body. And like we've said, less fluids in the body, that's less blood. And less blood volume, that's less oxygen. And less oxygen, that's less ATP. That is less ATP delivered or made. And these are some of the reasons, signs you'd see that you have less fluids in the body. That's when your urine looks dark yellow. If you ever go to pee and you find your urine is dark yellow, that simply means you have less water in the body. And I wish to advise everyone to aim for consistent water intake throughout the day. Yeah. Well, of course, let's look at reason number 6. Why people feel fatigued all the time, why they always feel weak and tired even after spending 6, 7, 8 hours of sleep. They will discover the muscles are weak and they can't function well. Well, this could be attributed to medical reasons, medical causes. It could be disease. It could be a deficiency in the body. And of course, we are going to look at the different conditions, medical conditions, why you may be feeling tired all the time. Number 1 is the iron deficiency anemia. Number 2, vitamin D deficiency, B12 deficiency, and of course, thyroid dysfunction. For example, vitamin D deficiency is very common in Northern Europe and parts of North America, especially during the winter. And if you have low vitamin D in the body, your immune system will be compromised. Your immune regulation and muscle function will be affected. And of course, this will contribute to the fatigue that most of the Northern Americans experience during winter. And what is my advice actually? If tiredness lasts for weeks, despite of lifestyle improvement changes, of course, despite of improving your water intake, despite of doing regular exercises, despite of reducing your stress, despite of course supplementing the body with of course those energy boosters you always go for, please, if tiredness continues, I would advise to go for medical testing. Yeah, that will be very important. Well, that will be very important, of course, like I've explained throughout the video, that fatigue is not usually random. It is caused by a number of factors. And we've seen there could be lifestyle, there could be hidden medical causes. And of course, I've explained and tried to call everyone out there to learn the body language. When you learn the language, you're able to communicate, you're able to listen, and maybe respond. Do something about it. Sometimes the body is calling you to do something about it. Well, this is a compiled list of both medical and lifestyle causes of why people always feel fatigued even after 7 to 8 hours of sleep, even after trying to rest for longer hours. Of course, number 1 on the list is the blood sugar crashes. I explained about this. When you take those refined carbohydrates from the fast foods, they cause a quick elevation in your blood glucose. And of course, as the body tries to respond on that, it will quickly also release insulin. And as insulin works to reduce the elevated glucose levels, it will cause what we call reactive hypoglycemia. And of course, this will feel like fatigue, muscle weakness, and brain fog. Number 2 on the list is poor mitochondrial function. I told you this is your powerhouse. If it's not performing well, if it's inefficient, you always feel fatigue. Number 3, disrupted circadian rhythm. Like I said, those longer hours you spend on the screen will disrupt that rhythm, that 24 internal clock cycle. It will disrupt production of melatonin, an important hormone that you need to trigger sleep. But if you spend longer hours, the hormone melatonin will be suppressed, its production will be disrupted, and you don't rest well. Number 5, it is the chronic stress. Try to beat around your stress. Try hard to fight stress by doing things that, of course, disrupt you from the stress factor. Number 5 is the dehydration. I advise to take more water. We saw that in case you don't have enough fluids in the body, that will be less blood. When you have less blood, that will be less oxygen in the body. And less oxygen, that will be less oxygen delivered to the tissues. And if less oxygen is delivered to the tissues, there will be less ATP delivered to your tissues. The last on the list is nutrient deficiencies. Go for medical testing to discover those nutrients lacking in the body, and you will be advised on the way to go. So when you understand the biology, you can fix the root cause. When you understand the body language, you can do something about it. If you found this helpful, subscribe to Vital Healthy Science for science-based health explanations that are made simple and simpler for you. Comment below, what do you think is draining your energy the most? Bye-bye.